What is going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson in for the Sports Arena on a Monday. And let me just say this. I hate admitting when I am wrong, but I am old enough and wise enough to know that sometimes I have to do just that. This is going to pain me today. Let me just share this with y'all before we even get started here today on the Sports Arena. And the reason being is because you would think after 18 years, actually after 40 some plus odd years of my life, that if there is things that I am consistent on, I should remain consistent on. But you know what? As I get older, I try to look at things through different lenses. However, there are some things that I just should not ever change my opinion on. What am I referring to? Well, that would be the Dallas Cowboys. And with that, please let me welcome in ASU. He's a Sun Devil, Jerry, and my brother, Mr. Michael Caratanudo, is in the building.
Man,
Mike,
see, you're the reason.
No. You are not going to get the opportunity until I get this off my chest to say anything right now. So you know what? This is my time. This is my monologue. So just sit there and deal with it. Because for 18 years, Mike, since I've known you, I have been consistent on saying what? Every Sunday, there are two teams I cheer for, my Philadelphia Eagles and whoever's playing the Dallas Cowboys. Now, listen, I gave you worlds, loads, tons. We could write an encyclopedia on the amount of times that I have criticized your Dallas Cowboys and been right, but there have been times where I have been wrong. So what did I say? I said I was going to try and be a little more unbiased with regard to your team, even though I can't stand them. Don't like them. The team, yes. Organization, maybe. Fans, there's 9 of y'all. Everybody else can kiss my backside. I picked Dallas at home to beat New Orleans. Why? Because the matchup proved to benefit your team, Michael Caratanudo. Mm-hmm. This is a team who won 16 regular season home games. What did I say in the preseason? I said, until someone goes in and beats Dallas in Jerry World, I have to be mindful of that and pick them. Well, I was wrong. Damn it, Mike, I was wrong. And this is exactly why I don't like your team. Because just when I think I'm making strides and I'm making some headway and I'm actually doing the right thing, what does Dallas do? 19 points? 19. Mike, the game was over after the first half. Ain't seen Micah Parsons in a minute. Where the hell was DeMarcus Lawrence? Dak and CD had what? Maybe 1-2 connections? The New Orleans Saints hung 44 on y'all in Jerry World. You know the last 3 games, the last 3 regular season games that New Orleans has played, they've hung 48 on Carolina. They hung 47 last week, and now they hung 44 on y'all. A team that is supposed to be a playoff team, but y'all get 19 points. See? Mike, I'm telling you, I'm done with it was one and done, Mike. Get it out your system. I did it last year for Miami because John pissed me off. I did it this year trying to be unbiased. Nope, I'm going back to being me. Damn it, I don't care who Dallas is playing. I'm picking against them.
Well, I mean, it's week 2. Are you going to pick against the Niners, the rest of the season? Because they laid the egg against Sam Darnold. I mean, come on, man. Look, it was bad. I'm pissed off. I knew you were going to have your moment because when I saw you had picked the Cowboys, I'm like, oh, my God. I sat down. I was like, wait. But I'm like, he's going reverse psychology. And, yes, the last 2 times the Saints put up 40, it was against the Carolina Panthers. Which, yes, pretty much sucks. I get it. And the Cowboys have to play the Panthers this year. So, yes, if they play like that, they could lose. But if you pick the Panthers to beat the Cowboys, I'll just say, okay, I understand, but you're wasting that game. But look, yeah, Mike McCarthy. Well, we'll get to him in a minute. Mike Zimmer had the look on his face like a few times, just the camera and seeing him and how PO'd a coordinator could get. He's not going to go. He's not the type that's going to, put on a meltdown on screen. But he had a look on his face. It's like, I can't wait to get these, for lack of a better word, a-holes back in film on Monday or tomorrow, or when they watch film today, and literally just keep rewinding it and watch an offensive line who, look, to the Saints' credit, okay, Carolina's Carolina. You and I, we agree on that. Like, I'm still not, like I said last week, out on Bryce Young. Let's get something around him. Let's start getting an offensive line around him and see what happens, right? But the Saints' offensive line, which I always say, I'm not going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. Like, you would think that, okay, they were healthy. The Browns' defensive line banged up. We saw what nightmare that was for them. And then, of course, they turn around and win yesterday. But the Saints' offensive line, I mean, you talk about confidence. They bullied Carolina. They come in and, they're going to try and establish the run, which, again, having linebackers, we saw, and granted it wasn't Nick Chubb, but we saw Cleveland not be able to run the ball. But they just shoved one part of the line back. I mean, I think they ran the same side, to the offensive left and the defensive right. Like, I think almost three plays in a row. And I mean, I think Alvin Kamara just scored another touchdown.
Oh yeah, he's still running. He's
still running. But look, that Mike Zimmer had the look on his face of that D line. Like, I can't wait to get these a-holes in the room and literally just humiliate professional athletes, because that's one thing, you and I have talked about throughout the years. Like, yeah, you get paid and it's not like you don't have pride. I mean, guys always say, and Dak said it recently, but guys always say it's not about the money. It's about, the respect and the pride I take in this game and what I've, worked for and all that stuff. Right. Well, Mike Zimmer as a coach is just going to be like, yeah, they're going to the guys are going to try and walk out because they're sick of seeing it. He's going to keep rewinding it. Like, oh, look at you. Oh, pushed around like you did nothing. Like, everything we had called, all the adjustments. So
did you call, speaking of calling, Mike, did you call Micah? Did you call Micah Parsons? Did you call that Penn State linebacker? Because where the hell was he yesterday?
He has got, and that's the thing, like his rookie year, people figured out, all right, like they're not going to so much. If they rush him, they're not going to protect, they weren't, it's not like, they were putting, and when he was healthy, because that year was huge for Leighton Vander Esch. Oh, we're not going to put Leighton Vander Esch behind him just in case, teams ran at him. Well, what did he do last year? You and I talked about that. He got a lot better at, you got to take on blocks and it might be, double team, but, he's one of those guys that, like, the Saints just said, okay, you know what? We're going to run at him. We're going to run at him and make him adjust. And Mike Zimmer did move him around. I mean, there were times that, like, he would come up late and he got a little bit of pressure, but it just it wasn't enough. And
sorry to interrupt you, Mike. I apologize. Mr. Thompson, I'm going to get to you a little bit later, my brother, so don't go nowhere, because I see what you're saying right here. You can rise up all you want, but you fit in the fall this evening. But we'll talk about them in a minute. I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
That's all right. That's why I chuckled. I saw Danny put that there, but no, but that's the thing. Like, I don't see. Look, I mean, and that was tough. And DeMarcus Lawrence, not too much pressure up the middle. It's like they either got stalemated. Or pushed back. And, the one play where, and again, they actually got like a little bit of late pressure, but was on the screenplay touchdown by Kamara. So look, it was a terrible week 2 performance. Yeah. The score obviously looks, worse than most, but
horrible. Just go ahead. You can say it, pathetic, horrible. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it does. 44-19. You scored in every quarter but the fourth, and that one.
You only put up 16 on the half. They put up double that plus 3 points.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was crazy, and It
He
was,
doesn't begin to
Dak
describe
Prescott was
what y'all were
20.
going through.
Well, the first interception, because I like to hammer Dak but the second interception was absolutely terrible. I mean, he's looking downfield and it's like the guy's right there. And if you're an NFL quarterback and you don't see that, like you shouldn't A, be an NFL quarterback, B, get $60 million a year, which I know doesn't start till next year, but that's that. Anyway, CD Lamb, I mean, you look at the day, 4 catches for 90 yards, 22.5 per catch, and the 65-yard touchdown, which was awesome. But yeah, when you only rush for 68 yards and they rush for 190, you throw for 299, but they throw for 242. I mean, Carr had an interception, but he had 2 touchdowns, looking pretty good. So yeah, look, the Saints opened up with Carolina. We're like, okay, well, are they really tested? You're going into Dallas, and look,
they were supposed to lose, but they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't. And the Saints, I mean, also had 3 sacks, 4 tackles for losses. A 47-yard interception return, which was huge because after, what was it? It wasn't that. Yeah, the first one I want to say by Adebo was for 47 yards, and that was right after the Saints turned it over. And coming out of his pattern, he did fall, and that does suck. And those are ones, and I've even said when your guy has thrown it or anybody's quarterback has thrown it, Jalen Brooks stumbled, but that shouldn't be on the quarterback. It's a turnover, and inevitably, but nonetheless, the first one was absolutely atrocious. You get it back in their territory. To your point, a chance to score again. But look, man, this is why you go out, and I'll toot your horn. This is why you go out. Jerry Jones, you didn't have to make the comment of being all in, but this is why you go out and sign Derrick Henry, who lives in Texas, or you sign Saquon Barkley. Because
how about Dalvin Cook? Where was Dalvin? Huh? Where was Mike?
They signed him.
Where was Dalvin yesterday?
Hold on. They signed him to the practice squad last week. Mm-hmm. And yes, I think I do. I will tip my cap to that because you bring him in late last week. He's got a chance now to get through the playbook, get in game shape, and not rush in. Yes, Mike Patton, the Saints just scored again. I'm sorry.
You're going to hear about it all day. You're going to hear about it all day.
That's fine. That's fine. Dalvin, his legs are still in 2019. You're a funny guy, Danny Thompson. Anyway, no, look, all I'm saying is they're bringing him up to speed. And
up to speed, you're an NFL running back. Figure out the playbook and let's go. You ain't got time to be worried about. Y'all got to get in the mix and get it done.
Running back's not receiver. That's one thing I will always put. If it was a receiver, I would have been like, yes, hell yes, I'm with you. A running back, picking up pass protection, picking up pass block, everything like that in another team system. I will always push back on all running backs, even if it was, say Saquon signed with your team and they had him on the practice squad and they waited a week. I would teach you.
I'd be mad.
But well, cool, because then when your quarterback gets killed because of him, what are you going to be madder about?
He ain't getting killed. Mike, who is Rico? Rico had more rushes than Zeke did.
Rico Dowdle, man. That's right, baby.
I don't know who he is.
He can run. Well, that's because you're an Eagles fan. The fact you know 3 Cowboys, you know Dak Prescott, CD Lamb, and Zeke now that he's back. So I know
Michael Parsons. I know DeMarcus Lawrence. You want to know why I know him? Because they can't shut up.
Of course you know defensive. Danny Thompson, Dallas can't be 0-3 because they won last week. But I wouldn't expect the Falcons fan to understand math. But 28-3 are good numbers, aren't they, Danny? You want to fire at me, buddy? I'll go old school. Eric knows that.
Here we go. Here we go.
But
I'm telling
you. That being said, no, look, it was a crap performance. The offense, I don't get what McCarthy was calling. I'm just happy that the Niners lost. I'm happy the Lions lost. I'm happy. The Packers won, but the Lions lost. So look.
The Vikings won, Mike. Let's put that in perspective. All right, I'm done with
that. With Sam Darnold, dog.
I'm done with that. Let's move on. I'm done with Dallas. Okay. Let's move on.
You're just lucky the Eagles play tonight because hold on, I'll say this: if the Eagles lay a crap egg against the other birds, the Falcons,
I'll come on here, Mike. We could do a show
coming
tomorrow.
on Pitchfork Lunch tomorrow.
I'll come on tomorrow, and I will admit our faults. No, I will say what we did not do.
It happening. I think Saquon. Okay. I mean, I didn't realize that AJ Brown was out.
We got Jahan Dotson. We got Devontae Smith.
I know, and
we got Dallas Goedert. And the only good thing in Dallas is Dallas Goedert. Okay, Mike, stop. Okay. Just relax. We're done. We'll get to them because trust me, I got something for Mr. Danny Thompson. We got them in a minute. Let's talk about the fact the Minnesota Vikings yesterday.
Yes, they are.
Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson beat the NFC conference champion San Francisco 49ers. What?
Well, that's I think 2 out of the last 3 seasons because Brock Purdy's rookie year, they were in Minnesota and they started to come back on Minnesota, but Minnesota did win. And I don't know what it is. Like
Minnesota also had Kirk Cousins, Mike.
I know, but Kevin O'Connell also is from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree anyway. So, or no, he's from the Sean McVay tree, which technically Sean McVay's from the Kyle Shanahan tree. So indirectly, yeah. But anyway, done connecting the family tree there for you, E. But I'm just saying, like, what did I say to you? What did we talk about when we were talking about the show and the record with the Vikings? And JJ McCarthy was down, figuring, okay, this rookie's going to take bumps. But I said, in Sam Darnold's defense, no, I don't. And I said, I gave the disclaimer on the show. We could go back and look for it. I said, no, he's not winning MVP. But what is Coach O'Connell known for? I mean, he's a quarterback dude. And yes, Kirk Cousins. And I remember saying Kirk Cousins, whether you liked him or not, yes, was already a proven NFL quarterback. Right, of course. But was more of a proven NFL quarterback. Obviously, took him, had very good regular seasons. And yes, playoffs were not their thing. But O'Connell is that quarterback guy. And Sam Darnold, just like I say, and again, who knows if he resurrects his career. I mean, Sean Payton decided to take the bumps and the bruises and go with Bo Nix, which to me was a very good idea by Sean Payton. But when you look at what Kevin O'Connell can do, and Sam Darnold, look, I've told you the one thing I hate, I've always hated, and even our boy Ray talked about this, and it's been one of those things. Quarterbacks get way too much credit and never enough of the blame.
Oh, I'm putting all this on the whole entire organization, like from top to bottom. The Minnesota Vikings, a team that I think I predicted them maybe getting 5 to 6 wins, has truly my ears and my eyes open to what this team is capable of. With JJ McCarthy being down and Sam Darnold stepping up, it truly begs the question.
Yeah, but I don't think you would have went more than 5 or 6 wins if McCarthy was healthy. There ain't no rookie. I mean, yeah, again, you can connect with Justin Jefferson, but
But what I am saying to you is, looking at this, I have to, in good conscience, say, okay, Sam Darnold, was it the system that he was in when he was with the Jets, or was it just Sam Darnold himself? Because we always like to ask that question when an NFL player goes to a different team and begins to have more success for whatever reason. We have to now ask the question, well, what was it? What was the underlying factor as to why you were unsuccessful over here, yet you appear to be making moves over here? And right now, it's just the fact that JJ McCarthy got injured, Sam Darnold next man up. But in 2 games, and especially that win yesterday against the proverbial odds-on NFC team to go back to the Super Bowl, it's just like, so Minnesota has your number. And we always say styles make fights. So yes, that just might be it. It just might be the fact that Minnesota has San Fran's number, much like Gino Auriemma and the Cincinnati Bengals defense appear to have Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs offense number. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where we begin to dissect those reasons as to why things go a certain way based on where a person is or how they're able to, adapt and kind of reinvent themselves.
Well, look, yeah, but when you watch that Vikings game yesterday, I mean, you look at, when people look at numbers, Sam Darnold, pretty damn good day, 17 to 26, 268, the 2 touchdowns. I mean, the 97-yarder, yes, to Justin Jefferson, which, I mean, on your own goal line, I mean, that's a hell of a call to make. And then, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Ty Chandler, 10 carries for 82 yards. Okay, nothing crazy to write home about, but still 8.2 a carry. You'll take that on the average. I'm just saying, total yardage wise. Justin Jefferson 4 for 133, but yes, he had the 1 for 97.
And that's really, for me, that was the dagger. It was you let Jefferson get that 1, bro. Come on now,
right? And then, but you turn around, look at the Niners, though. I mean, look at Jordan Mason, 20 carries for 100 yards, 5 yards a carry. I mean, you and I, you'll take that. You're figuring, okay, 5 yards.
I'll take Debo 8 for 110 all day.
10. Right, exactly. Even Kittle 7 for
76 and a touch.
So when I look at that, you think, okay, but the Vikings, like I'm saying about Kevin O'Connell, it's one of those things where it was Sam Darnold too. And I said, I'm not going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. He was a highly touted, quarterback. People say, oh, USC quarterbacks, this and that. And some people do, but I'm like, okay, did the Jets defensive line ruin a quarterback or offensive line? Pardon me. Because if they went up against the defensive line actually got to hit him in practice, the Jets defensive line would have ruined the quarterback first. But did the Jets offensive line ruin one quarterback in Darnold? Yeah. Did they ruin Zach Wilson? I'm not saying that either one of them we're going to be, MVPs, all pros, I'm just saying you look at their tape and you're like, okay, it's got, GM's looking at it. Obviously, scouts going out, watching practices. I mean, I know I send you stuff from ASU practices when certain teams are out, and but they're doing that all year for these big schools. So you figure, obviously, at USC, you're going to get quite a few out to practices, all that good stuff. But when you look at Sam Darnold and what he did, it's like, okay, I can see it with this guy. Yeah, I know the whole I'm seeing ghost thing and stuff like that. Belichick made him see that. But some quarterbacks, if they don't have an offensive line, my point is always get that excuse, oh, man, he's so good. But the offensive line, I mean, they're either getting a bunch of penalties or blah, blah, blah. And it annoys me because I'm like, wait, but then the same people will turn around and have a conversation about a different team and blame the quarterback. Like, okay, for our division, the NFC East, when Eli Manning, you and I talked about that. When Eli Manning was getting crushed saying, oh, he should retire, this and that, when Ding Dong McAdoo was the head coach, he had less. He had from like 1.9 on accounts to 2.1, maybe 2.2 to get rid of the ball. Now, if that was in his time, if that was Tom Brady, oh my God, there would have been nothing said about it. It would have been this offensive line. They can't do anything. Everyone they brought in, Tom Brady's this and that. Eli Manning, and yeah, Giants fans are going to pile on because when people see stuff in the media and especially in the New York media where they're sitting there crushing it, well, which one is it, man? Because he's got 1.9 to throw the ball, and I don't care. And that's what I was saying then. I don't care if you're Tom Brady. I don't care if you're Peyton Manning. I don't care if you're Patrick Mahomes. If you can't get out and they're surrounding you and you have 1.9 to get rid of the ball, your numbers are going to look like crap. You're going to sit there and finally get hammered on. And you're going to tell me that because of whatever for the Jets, offensive line would crush these guys. So for Sam Darnold to get another chance, and look, where was Sam Darnold the backup last year, E? Oh, yeah, he was a backup on that Super Bowl runner-up team in the 49ers. So a year with just and he had to start a few games. And it's funny how he looked pretty confident. And, yes, everybody wants to talk about weapons. Guess what? We talked about this last week. Every team that wins Super Bowls, has weapons around them. You're not going with one person on O or one person on D, and you're going to win. You have weapons. And, that year with Kyle Shanahan and the Niners, and then you go to, again, a disciple-ish in Kevin O'Connell, and maybe you weren't going to start. But guess what? They're 2-0, and the one interception yesterday, but I think that one came as I was watching that. I think that came on a tipped play, but
regardless, it was an interception. It goes against him, but how it happened, it happened. But they still found a way.
The offense, he's doing exactly.
He still found a way to win. He still found a way to win, and at the end of the day, that's what we're basing it off of. We base it off of wins and losses.
Right. So, and they're 2-0, right. And he's with Kevin O'Connell. He's with Shanahan last year, and just being in those film rooms and everything and stuff like that. It's kind of funny how you can see, again, I'm not saying he's going to be the next, Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, but
no, if his season is better, right? If his season is better than most anticipated, that's when, like I said, we begin to dissect. Well, where was the disconnect from him being in as the number 2 draft pick to the New York Jets?
Right.
So,
right.
All right, let's move on. Speaking of quarterbacks, we got to have this conversation. We talked about it when it happened last year, 2 years ago. It just seems that there's a reoccurring theme with regards to the Miami starting quarterback. So I'm going to be very honest, Mike. Let me just ask you this question and give me an answer. And I was trying to find footage of when we talked about it previously, what your thoughts were. And I just, because of timing, I just wanted to make sure that we had time to talk about it. With regards to Tua, does Tua need to just retire? Does he need to just set it down and be done in the NFL? Because here again, Thursday night matchup, primetime matchup, you're already down to an AFC East divisional opponent in the Buffalo Bills. I understand the athlete, the competitor, the warrior, if you will, in you wants to at least go out there and give it 110%. I totally understand that. However, that to me could have gone so much worse. Number one. And number two, Tua was supposed to fix or at least be better at not only playing the position, but knowing when to get down and how to slide and all this other stuff. And it just seems like I don't even know what whoever taught him, he need to get a refund. Because for Tua to now have, and I thought, correct me if I'm wrong, they're saying his 3rd concussion. I thought this was his 4th.
No, it's his 3rd.
It's his 3rd. Okay. Well, then guess what? Like baseball, you out. Because there's just no point in continuing to put yourself in this situation if you are going through all of this. Sorry, I know.
No.
Short story, long walk. Mike, does Tua just need to retire?
Look, I mean, the knee-jerk reaction is yes, but
how is that a knee-jerk reaction, though?
Because everybody's gonna say yes. I'll get to that. My point is, a lot of people talking about it right away, and you see he should retire. I remember watching the play and thinking, and to your point, like he was trying to make a play. It's not like he was trying to slide. They're down by 21. He's trying to extend, get a first down. Not that he
had it. You could see he had the first down.
Right. But he, again, in the fact of a competitor trying to make a play from that standpoint, when I go back and I take a deep breath, because like I said, my knee-jerk reaction is say, yes, just retire. But listening to NFL Live last week, and even on FS1, well, I'm slipping through, but FS1, listening to, everybody's going to have opinions. And I think when Dan Orlovsky was talking about, like, it's for Tua and his family to talk about, yes, you can say he should lean one way. And then, when you think about, okay, money aside, and yes, it's a ton of money to walk away from. Everybody would get that, because yes, even with guarantees, I mean, if you do retire, obviously for certain things, but not even a money standpoint. Nick Saban said something, and I thought it was it's not like he's, trying to get, it's not like Tua is there trying to win him another national title at Bama. But Nick Saban says that's a decision for obviously Tua, but the doctors, a medical decision. He doesn't need to listen to him because Nick Saban's like, I don't feel comfortable saying oh, this should be done, this should be done. It is, you need to sit down with the specialist. You need to get more than one opinion, is what Nick Saban was saying. And it is a medical decision. Because I go back to what on NFL Live, Ryan Clark, Dan Orlovsky, Marcus Spears talking about. You started playing this game at 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, right? And it's been your life thing, and all the sacrifice, everything you have put in, you don't. And Ryan Clark said it. You don't get to the top, being in the NFL, sustaining a career, and getting there without being selfish and making selfish decisions. He said, yes, you do have a family now. It is different. It is, the responsibilities, are there. But if he can play and doctors are like, look, this is what happened. Yes, we know a lot more now, because Marcus Spears said something. He's like, or Dan Orlovsky's like, yeah, we made these at 24. We literally would go back out there because information we didn't have. And Spears fired back, says, yes, but we have this information now. So when we talk about it, yes, does Tua need to take all the steps? There's no timeline. His family needs to be like, they need to talk about this, but you sacrifice something for that long and you get to a level, and yeah, whether, people, fans love you, hate you, media, whatever, everybody's going to find something to either crazy, compliment you on or just crush you on. But the sacrifice, the time, the hours, not doing certain things to get to a level, and then you see certain things. When you have a family, yes, it's different. But I'm as crazy as as crazy as this might sound to you, I'm with Nick Saban. I'm not saying he shouldn't retire, but I think it's doctors, it's the medical team. It's more than obviously one opinion from experts on this and knowing, data. And look, I mean, it drove obviously Aikman to retire. It drove Steve Young to, he may have been close, but still an earlier retirement. But after each one, what did those guys do? And it wasn't because, their coach is like, oh, get back out there. They love the game and they sacrifice. It's not even the love of it is a love of the game, but they sacrifice for it. And I'm not saying sacrifice your future to where it's a mess. There's data out, but Tua did all this. Tua's worked hard. From a player standpoint, when we talked a little bit about obviously what Brian Flores said or what Tua said and this and that, a lot of people are like, oh, he saw Flores went at him and he's like, oh, a coach, if coach constantly tells you suck, you might think you suck. But that aside, yeah, I'm with Mike. It's his family.
Here's what I'm gonna say.
Will come into it, but it's a medical. To me, it's you sit with the doctors and you have to be able to have that talk. Like, I'm gonna walk away from this.
Okay, Mike, I hear everything you're saying. All right, and I don't disagree with you. Let me just say this, okay? I do feel at the end of the day, as I tell you this, Mike, what do I tell everybody after I give my opinion or I give my advice? I say at the end of the day, you do you, boo-boo. I say that to everybody. And I say that to Tua as well. At the end of the day, you're going to make your own decision. But at some point, you need to be saved from yourself. Whether that be a doctor, whether that be a father, a mother, a child, a spouse, an auntie, an uncle, a pastor, a teacher, a mentor, I don't care. At some point, someone got to sit you down and give you the big picture. You might not like it. You may not want to hear it, but it is necessary for you to understand what is happening. All right. That man has had 3 concussions, which have sidelined him And since we want to talk about the Dolphins, yeah, it's affected the Dolphins. It's affected the team that you were the starting quarterback for. Why? Because you got injured.
Right, but to your
and
point,
I understand. No, hold on. I understand the athlete in you. I understand the drive in you. I understand the sacrifices that you have made since you were however young, because this is what you wanted. You are one of 32 men who are playing on the National Football League as a starting quarterback. I'll go even further, Mike. You are one of 15 minority men playing as a starting quarterback in the NFL. I understand the pressure that is on you each and every day and each and every week. I get that. If anybody understands it, you looking at it. But at some point in your life, when things like this happen that are just unavoidable, uncontrollable, I recognize and I empathize and I see it, Mike. I'm not blindly walking into this, and I'm not speaking to you. I'm just speaking to the entire audience when I say this. When I look at this situation, he ain't got to listen to me. He's got to listen to himself, his doctors, and his family. But I'm telling you, somebody has got to sit him down and say, bruh, this just ain't it. I understand what you've gone through to put yourself in this situation, to better you, to better your family, to create that generational wealth for your children and your grandchildren and your great-grand. I understand. But you want to be around to see the fruits of your labor, don't you? Those are the uncomfortable conversations that people in his camp, his family, his doctors, whoever he actually listens to, need to be having with him. Because the last thing that I want for Tua Tagovailoa is to be 30, 32 years old and not able to remember his children graduating. I want him to be able to remember, if he has a daughter, walking her down the aisle when she gets married, celebrating anniversaries with his wife and his family. That's what I want for him. All the athletes, all NFL athletes, NBA athletes, MLB, NHL, tennis, it doesn't matter. You know the one thing they always say, most of them will say, you spend more of your life as a former than you do playing the game that you love.
100%. 100%. But, I mean, look, the 2 concussions came 2 years ago. Last year, where I will say, when you're saying with the sliding, he needs to get a refund. Like, no, he didn't slide there. He dove forward to get more yards. That was the thing. It wasn't a slide. It was conscious. And, yeah, the way – and, I mean, obviously it's ironic that DeMar Hamlin, it wasn't a cheat. He came in and he went forward. DeMar Hamlin's just going forward, and Tua literally goes into his leg. Now, I get that part, and it did look bad. But last year, he didn't have a concussion. I mean, the sliding, you saw the protection. A lot of times, I was interested early in the season, teams coming after him. And then even as the Dolphins settled into tougher, seeing what they would do. But there's a lot of times, he was about to, even if he took a sack, he would kind of go down. And he would just he's like, all right. But if he was moving, he got out of the way. It was about falling right too, to your point. So last year, to that end was good. I mean, at that point, yeah, I'm with you. You're close. You're down by the goal line. You're trying to make a play. But at the same time, yeah, you could have just slid there because it was there. But look, you're showing your team whatever you're showing your team to that point. And again, I think his teammates know what they have in them. I believe that. But it's one of those things where I'm with you. Do I want a person to remember everything? And I mean, ever since we saw, concussion and the few players, that we've unfortunately lost that have, ended up taking their lives because of CTE, you definitely don't want that. And I'm not saying he doesn't need to have that person. I would lean towards it. If I'm looking, like you said, if I'm looking at a family, I might lean towards retirement if it's my, third concussion, obviously in 2 years. And, the optics of it obviously always look terrible. but like I said, and even like, Mike Patton was saying, it is his and his family's decision. He goes, do I think he should? Yes. But again, it's not my decision to make it. When people say that, I don't think they're skirting away from it. I can offer, like you just said, we can offer our opinion on it. When you've done something that long, again, I'm not saying it's, a freaking, a dime store doctor. He's going to some, like we've always seen people.
No,
Yeah,
he's going to a specialist. I
Right.
totally. He's
Going
got
to
the best
multiple.
medical.
No, but
people
that's
out.
what I'm saying. You're going to multiple specialists, and for Tua, like, yeah, a doctor could be like, look, you don't need to do it. If you get one more, like, no one will ever medically clear you again to play football. And if he does, then he would have to live with that. And it's one of those things where I think that's, like you said, you put your future, obviously, way of life and what you want ahead of, it has to obviously weigh heavier on the scale than, I can do this. I can, I want to do this. I love this game. And again, like I said, and I thought about that and I was thinking about that even before watching NFL Live that day, because athletes, and I don't mean it obviously in a personal way, but you have to be selfish. You're to get to the highest level, like you just said, in any sport, you're going to be selfish. You made the sacrifices, and a lot of decisions you make are going to be completely more selfish. I mean, we've kidded around throughout the years, and again, not because I don't care about their safety, but what have I always said to you about hockey too? Like, you got to have a screw loose to play that game, but you have to have multiple screws loose. And again, not that they're dumb, like, I play hockey, but it's that mentality of, yes, okay, the game has gotten faster. Yes, they've taken away, they've tamed most of the fighting. And you and I, you've seen that in the last, 8 to 10 years, because, once they started to change the rules back in 05, 06, 07, and that, or 04, maybe 04, 05, but when they got rid of, the 2-line pass, because I remember, saying to, and this, you and anybody else who listen, like, it'd be like I remember I used to say to you, remember this? It would be like in football, just because a guy can run a 4.3, that he has to make sure he's only, 3 yards ahead of you. Like, dude, get rid of the 2-line pass. I'm not saying let him cherry pick in the opposite offensive zone and be offside. No, still have offside, but you're killing guys that have this speed and talent, not just speed, but the talent, the pace, the flow, everything in hockey. So you change the rules, you open it up, and yeah, there's been some big hits throughout. Look, you and I grew up not just on the fight hits, and look, most of them, some of them were dirty and cheap shots. Most of them were clean shots. Dudes just got trucked from in front by somebody. Somebody's like, hey, well, you're not going to look up. I'm going to freaking truck you. Now,
and Mike, what do we always say? You can't teach speed and you can't teach size. So
100%. But I've always said to you, I mean, God, look at these, these hockey players. I say the screws are loose because, again, not that and in the past with football, same thing with, hockey. And, they talk about in hockey, guys, oh, my bell's kind of rung. You might miss the shift or two, but then you're back out there because you're like, okay, the guy's talking about obviously sniffing in the salts, as like, yeah, that wasn't right. That's not good. But for football, it was the same thing. You're so, like you said, you spend more time as a post athlete, but when you're doing it, you spend more time with, your teammates, coaches, your teammates, everything, whatever sport it is, than you do, especially the higher up you get, than with your own family. And, you always hear players talk about that. And and that's my thing for Tua. Like, again, I'm not saying it should be, a no-brainer to be like, yeah, I'm retiring, but 2 concussions in 3 years. Yes. The whole thing with the Bills a few years ago. I mean, we more so crushed the Dolphins. I mean, yeah, Tua got back out there and played on a Thursday night after they beat the Bills. And then against Pittsburgh again? I mean, those images of people won't forget with his hand, because like, he never should have been out there. They're trying to say it's a neck injury, this and that. And Tua's like, it wasn't a concussion. It's like, dude, nobody wants to hear it. Like, everybody has egg on their face, and you do, and we feel bad for you, but we were talking about a time. And I remember saying along the lines of, Tua's got egg on his face. The Dolphins have like triple egg on their face. And
the NFL, you might just open up. You might just open up that carton and just dump the whole thing.
The independent doctor who's like, oh yeah, okay, we look at him, it's his neck. Like, how are you just looking at his neck and not checking him for a concussion? Like, there was like I said then, and we all said then, there was plenty of egg to go around with that. The whole debacle there.
They were serving omelets all day long.
Exactly, 100%. And so, but look, that's the thing. You know, you it comes to. Yes, when you said to me, and I know we're gonna have a conversation, so it's not long story short. My inkling, if I'm him and I'm looking at my my wife, my kids, it might be to. But when you have that, you know, okay, what do I have to do? What you know, you and I have played. I mean, I've coached obviously at younger levels, but talked to kids and even helped out at like the high school level. It's like, okay, when you're playing a sport, okay, yeah, football, okay, what do we have to do to adjust to do better against this? I mean, we know they do this pre-snap and post-snap, they're doing this. What do we have to do? Or what do we have to do to adjust to get better than this? And again, whether it's, basketball, hockey, football, baseball, whatever, like you look at it and it's like, what do we have to do? And I think that's the toughest, especially when you're in the midst of playing and you're obviously young and you feel like you're going towards your prime. To me, that's the hardest thing to look at. Like he's looking at, okay, yeah, I need to take time. There's no timeline, but at the same time, it's like when you look at your family and and like I said, and Nick Saban wasn't just saying, oh, it's a doctor's decision. Like wink, wink, the doctors, he needs to find doctors that'll tell him to go. No, he's like, this is a young man that obviously I care deeply about. And, but he's like, I just don't feel comfortable saying he should.
Well, maybe he does. Maybe if there's one person that Tua will listen to, maybe it should be Nick Saban. Maybe Nick Saban and him should have a conversation. Because I mean, that's just how I feel about it. Look, we got 2 more topics and we got a little bit of time left. We got to keep it moving. We can definitely go on longer about this at a later time, depending on how this whole thing shakes out. So We'll be right back in 10 seconds. All right, welcome back to the Sports Mini. Manic Wilson alongside my brother ASU. He's a Sun Devil Jerry. Mike Carrots Noodles in the building. Speaking of ASU, Mike out there in Arizona, where I know they are definitely celebrating 41-10. Mike, hey, I got to salute Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals yesterday, beating up on a divisional opponent in the Los Angeles Rams. So, Mike, you out there. I mean, first off, congratulations to Marvin Harrison Jr. 2 touchdowns yesterday. So what's the talk been in your backyard, my brother?
Well, last night, I mean, there was obviously a ton of, during the game, there was a ton of excitement. And I wanted to say this to you first, and we got to it. How much did you see the highlight of the first touchdown?
Yes, I did.
Where he's dragging his feet. Now look, I've said this before, as much as I rip on him for hating for Ohio State, I always said, like, yeah, man, you can see certain patterns. Like even today, Ohio State reminded me of his dad. Is he obviously a little thicker? Like, yeah, you can see, a little bit taller, obviously, son, a little bit taller, but a little bit thicker. But tell me, like that toe drag, like you got to see his dad.
No, that was definitely reminiscent. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you got to see his dad. Like you see your dad growing up, and but. I was like, oh my God, like the way that obviously, he's a receiver. I get it. But the way that the arms went up and it's a hell of a pass by Kyler. He beats this guy inside, teeny bit high, doesn't jump, but he just puts it. I mean, it literally, I'm like, man, that's dad right there. Like you watched that a million times in practice. You were, probably 7 years old. And he's like, dumping a little ball over to you, while he's at practice, whatever. It's just, man, that first one, I was like, holy crap, what a catch. And it's, look, did I think Jonathan Gannon, in the game plan was going to say, okay, he only had 4, you're going to force the ball to him. Everybody says, yeah, last week he's like, yeah, it was bad. I wanted more than 4 targets and 1 reception. But what do the greats always say, like, yes, I want the ball, but the game's got to come. It's, sometimes you gotta take a shot. You got to kind of force something and give somebody an opportunity, but let it come organically. Don't just sit there and be like, and, Kyler dropping back and look from two years ago, before the ACL injury, the whole video game injury, get the video game, not injury, but the injury. And then, he's got to, have a thing in his contract about film and everybody making their jokes, blah, blah, blah. Dude won a Heisman Trophy for a reason. I mean, he ran around, made that, he made some plays. But Marvin Harrison Jr., to your point, there's excitement. It's funny because you look at the whole NFC Westie and the Rams, who I remember saying on the show we were talking about, thought could be the biggest threat to the Niners. They're 0-2. The Seattle Seahawks happen to be 2-0, and the Cardinals and Niners are 1-1. And the Cardinals, when you look at it, and what they put up 28 points, and now they put up 41 points. I mean, dude, and Murray, look, 17. And Eric, you talk about efficient and balanced. I mean, Murray threw 21 passes, but 17 of 21, 17 of those went for 3 touchdowns. Obviously, 2, like you said, to Harrison, the other 2, Elijah Higgins, who on a scramble play he slid in the pocket a little bit and was wide open. But you look at 17 of 21. If I say this to you, your quarterback goes for 266, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and he's got a perfect QBR of 158.3. Man, you'll take that every week. And James Conner, the guy who, people like, oh, man, we see good, and then he gets hurt, and then he's back in. 21 carries, my friend, for 122 yards and a tutty. That balance, to overstate the obvious, is going to win you. I'm not going to say 100%, but it's going to win you in the 90% of games. You have 40 rushes and only 21 passes. Now, yeah, you might like a little more passes, but guess what? When you're trying to run out the clock and you're already whooping them as the score gets sideways, you and I both know, well, let's take
the damn clock. We're going to run the damn clock. That's what we're going to do. Off. That's it.
Oh, and speaking of this, I'm just going to say one thing because I know we're going to get something else, and about running the clock, because I was complimenting the Cardinals about it because they were doing it. Even in the first half, as they got the lead, you're like, okay, Kyler's still throwing passes, but, dude, this offensive line is eating, man. They're eating. Cool. Keep giving Connor the ball. Give Connor the ball. Let him carry it. Kyler Murray ran, but even the young kid,
space and get it
done. Trey Benson had 11 carries. I mean, I know he didn't have a ton of yards, but still, keep feeding the ball. Okay, this is what I get sick and tired of. This is why fans, and again, I never side with the, because you can't spell fanatic without fan. I'll never side with the fanatics thinking they know they could get every situation right now how to coach. And I love Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. And they, in the last now 6 games, it's 3-3 between Cincinnati and Kansas City after yesterday. Look, I know you don't call a pass play in the NFL or call a play and it's a pass play and you think, okay, it's going to go incomplete. It's going to go incomplete. But when there's under 4 minutes on the clock, right? There's under 4 minutes on the clock and you're driving and they have timeouts. Instead of throwing a pass, Zach Taylor, on the road in Kansas City, goes incomplete. Run the damn ball. Either let them chew up 40 more seconds, into which, maybe they take their timeout and don't, but that's fine. You made them take one timeout. Now they got to play that chess game. So whether you kick a field goal, go for it on 4th down, or punt, you still made them take a timeout. And yeah, there would have been the 2-minute warning. Doesn't matter though. You stopped the clock. Eric, I almost text you. I almost freaking threw my phone because people say, oh man, if you were coaching, you'd be predictable. I said, guess what? If they're going to call a timeout, I'm going to let them call a timeout. If I'm going to throw a pass, Eric, it's going to be a quote unquote, not even to the line, a quote unquote shovel pass to you, to my right or left. And the clock's running, baby. Maybe you bust one. Because they're thinking, okay, but you stop the clock. And again, as much as I used to and you knew it, you knew me, as much as I despise everybody saying Brady's a GOAT, this and that, when you throw the ball and you give a quarterback, an upper echelon NFL quarterback, that time, guess what? They're going to win the game. They're going to do something. And the pass interference call, look, I was pissed. I'm like, of course, the defense gets robbed. Dude, I felt for the defender from Cincinnati, but it's like, dude, you see the ball. You weren't going full speed. Time the shit up better, man. Like you went through his back before the ball got there. Even though he was filleting and acting like he got kicked in the MMA'd in the ribs and the head at the same time. Even though he's filleting, dude, you ran through his back before the ball got there. You had it. You had it covered. You had it in front of you. But for Zach Taylor, who I like, and again, everybody can be an armchair coach, but you've known me, like we've said, 18 years. I've told you every time, I'm up, cool, I'm making you take your time out. We get 1 yard, we get 3 yards.
We get 15. Don't matter.
I get 15 and it's a first down, then cool.
Right.
Cool. Do whatever you will. But that's where I'm like, there could have been, and I don't think Andy Reid would have taken a timeout there. So cool, you run the ball, 40 more seconds go off the clock. Either you go for it, you punt, or whatever. But take that 40 seconds off the clock before you give them the ball back.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Last topic of the night. We started with the NFC East, so that's where we're going to end. It is the Monday night matchup.
Yeah.
It is the Atlanta Falcons with that guy, Kirk Cousins.
Eric's MVP.
Versus, no, my MVP was the guy on the right, sir. That would be this guy right here. Mr. Jalen Hurts. Thank you very much. So, a friend of ours of the show, I love this man. I do. Danny Thompson. But he is a true Atlanta fan and will find every which way to try and convince the rest of the world that Atlanta is actually going to be a relevant team, which they are because, listen, you had your little hiccup the other day, whatever. It happens. You got a full season. You got Kirk Cousins, who I still say, by the way, is not fully healthy, but that's just me. But listen, you've got Bijan Robinson. You've got Ray McLeod. You've got Kyle Pitts. On the defensive side, you got Judon and Jarrett. Okay. Listen, I'm going to try, but it ain't going to happen to be unbiased because this is Philly. It's what it is. People, let's just be very clear about this. We escaped with our lives in Brazil, and we were able to pull out a victory, albeit on the back of one Mr. Saquon Barkley, one of the newest additions to the Philadelphia Eagles offensive side. Now, it's our home opener. It's against Atlanta. I don't understand why they always do this to Atlanta. They always seem to give us the first couple of weeks. For some reason, we always seem to play the Atlanta Falcons. NFL, how y'all do your scheduling is still something that whatever, it is what it is. What I will say to you, though, is, and let's look at this, okay? The last time these two teams played each other was back in 2021. Score was 32-6. Mm-hmm. Overall record, Philadelphia leads this series 18-14-1. We have won 3 of the last 4 games against Atlanta. All right? When we look at this game, when I look at this game, here's what I will tell you. It's Monday Night Football. The lights are on. The stage is set. And yes, I'm quoting one of my favorite guys in Merrill Reese, but I'll tell you like this. If you think that crowd in Brazil was anything, wait till you get to the link tonight. Because the bar, the standard, the expectation, call it whatever you want to call it, has already been set for this team. Now, can the Atlanta Falcons come into Philadelphia and have themselves a game? Of course they can. It's any given Sunday, Monday, Thursday. We know this. However, it's our home opener, people. All right? We've now had ample amount of time to work on, both offensively and defensively, hiccups that have existed between game 1 and game 2. The field is going to be better, so we're not changing our cleats every 2 minutes. And most importantly, that with AJ being sidelined, well, that just leaves Devontae and Jahan Dotson to go out there and do their thing. Oh, and we still got Dallas in the slot unless he decides he wants a block tonight. We still got Saquon. And we have a maturing Jalen Hurts who every single week continually improves his matchup. So Atlanta, I know it's a matchup of the birds. I get it. Dirty Birds coming to the link. But please understand, you leaving with Cheese Whiz on your face. Courtesy of the Super Bowl 52 world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, I'm just gonna put it to you like that.
We gotta go,
Mike. You ain't gonna say because you ain't had a championship.
History. We gotta hear that old history. Yeah.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. As long as I have to hear your history about how many championships y'all won in the '90s and ruined my high school years.
It made my high school years great.
Yeah, I know.
God, I wish I would have known you then, so I could have consoled you and came.
God, we'd have fought. Mike, we would have truly. There'd been some fights.
Fought you
because I was all about Buffalo back then, baby.
Oh my God! I mean, I've said it to you a million times. Like before I get to this game, like I mean, for a 5-year stretch, people say, "Oh, the Cowboys are the most winningest team." No, for a 5-year stretch, the Bills were the most winning team in football. And I mean, people can say, "Oh, they just lost the Super Bowl," dude. I'm sorry. So there, 2 teams are there. There's 29 other teams that would have killed to been in Buffalo's position every year. Because, I mean, again, yes, you want to win. And, I mean, Scott Norwood had a chance against the Giants. And, I mean, look, it was you lose to the Giants and then you lose to they lost to they lost to 3/4 of the NFC East or 3/5 of the NFC East because the Cardinals were still in the NFC East then, which, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you go Giants, Washington, Dallas, and it's crazy. But no, tonight's game, look, I mean, Kirk Cousins, I'm with you. I mean, look, they always say the second year back from, I mean, an ACL, but Achilles along the same line, to me is always one of those things where they've talked about, oh, it's the second year. Now, look, I'm not going to judge anybody too harshly. Yes, it could have made adjustments, but off of playing a Pittsburgh defense week 1. Defense always had an offense because of no preseason. We talked about that last week, not getting into it again. But, Pittsburgh fired Mike Tomlin, right? But Pittsburgh's the only 2-0 team in the AFC North. Ain't that funny, E? But for tonight's game, it's it is interesting because I think, do you want to take a little off Kirk Cousins? I mean, quick screen game stuff, not just even handing the ball to Bijan Robinson, like you had mentioned, but, get him in the screen game quick, Kyle Pitts, some short, even obviously Drake London. I mean, yeah, you got to push downfield. You can't do everything short, or obviously in the NFL, no matter who it is. But of course, against the Eagles, much it pains me to say, they get eaten alive. But I think, tempo, clock management. Yeah. I mean, the Eagles still could have some big plays, but if you're the Falcons, yes, protect Kirk Cousins, even if it's only 2-man routes and, maybe your check down is to Saquon, but that to me is where they'll have a chance. Yeah. The home opener with, with the fans that belong in jail below the stadium.
Gee, why you gotta do that, man?
You got to crush my Cowboys. I got to get one shot in, but
the Saints crushed your Cowboys. I piled on. I'm just saying.
There, yeah, touche. Yes, well played. You piled on. You kicked me for no reason. But hey, my Sun Devils.
I kicked you for no reason.
My Sun Devils are 3-0. You can't ruin my mood. They should be in the top 25. They had a great.
Hey, Mike, you got pitchfork lunch. Come on now, let's go.
I know, but look, tonight's game. I do think it'll be interesting. But yeah, I mean. It is a bummer. I will say, that AJ Brown's out. That's what I'm saying. I mean, a bummer to see that. But, I mean, I think, Jahan Dotson obviously getting there late, but 1 week in, seeing it, obviously, I think he can adjust. Devontae Smith. And, yeah, I mean, having the beast, which is Saquon. God, it just still makes me want to vomit saying that all the time. But having the beast of Saquon. I mean, look, because last week, what did he have? He had 109 yards,
24 carries, 109, 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns, right? Yeah. So, I mean, see, that's ridiculous. Like, I mean, and again, he crushed it. Yeah. I mean, 24 for 209, and he had a receiving touchdown too, didn't he? Yeah. He had 2 for 23 and a 18-yard touchdown catch, which was his probably best play of the game. And he had some sick runs, man. So look, it's there for them. I think it'll only help your beloved QB, like you say. who, if this keeps up, and I mean, again, Saquon could be in a conversation for MVP, but he's got to give it to a quarterback.
Whoa! We're not throwing that out there yet. It's still early. Pump the brakes.
Oh,
Stop.
it's Saquon.
Time out.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to pump anything. It has nothing to do with reverse psychology or a jinx. I know football. I've seen Saquon in that offense. Please
don't do that.
Okay, you're right. It is early, but it doesn't matter because they'll just say everybody's got to give it to a quarterback. It's like, nah, you don't. But God forbid a defender ever got considered. Oh my God.
We both be falling out of our chair if that happened.
But yeah, but I did pick your team tonight, But wait, I did pick your team tonight. But since you got to pile on about my Cowboys, Eric, who killed you and who crushed you in picks last week?
Okay, Mike. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Mike last week 13-3. 13-3 was Mike's pick. Listen, I couldn't pick a 1:00 game to save my life this week. So,
well, look, you and I think, thanks to the last night's game. Oh yeah, with Houston winning, but I mean that was a defensive battle. That was beautiful. But with Houston winning, I'm like, I think I could finish 9-7. But it was a big comeback because you and I, those 1:00 Eastern games.
Lions lost, Colts lost, 49ers lost, Giants. Why would you pick the Giants? Really? It's Washington.
If Neighbors catches the damn ball, that was not Daniel Jones. Neighbors.
I didn't say it was Daniel Jones' fault, did I? I didn't say it was his fault.
I'm just saying, like, I had an inkling, and the funny thing is, I wrote down Commanders. Then I wrote down, I'm like, no, but then I'm like, wait, I said they were going to split this year and each one at home. So I should have taken one. Yeah, I know. But either way, I mean, San Francisco, Dallas,
Detroit,
the Colts.
I
took the Colts. Yeah, Detroit, the Colts. So yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, hold on, Baltimore. We'll get into Lamar. Trust me. At some point, we gonna have a Lamar Jackson conversation. Okay, let me just put that out there.
Okay, we can, and we need to have, like, again, you need balance, like I talked about. I mean, the Cardinals, but I mean, you look at what Buffalo did. I mean, they ran week 1, but you look at some of these teams, like, I mean, Minnesota, even week 1, and who was it was talking about? I mean, they were literally like, it was like 3 rush to 3 pass difference. Like, you want to stay balanced, you want to move it, like it's. But yeah, we can have a Lamar and a Derrick Henry not seeing enough of I think the ball in certain spots of the field. But yes, you are correct. But I got the Eagles tonight. I took Eric's terrible team tonight.
Oh, well, thank you, Mike. Much love to you. That is going to do it for us here on the Sports Arena. Thank you so much for everybody tuning and chiming in. Love everybody in the comments. Shout out to Danny Thompson, Mike Patton, and everybody else. We will see y'all maybe sometime this week. I don't know. I mean, listen, as I said, when it doesn't happen, I might just come on Pitchfork lunch tomorrow just to gloat a little bit. I'm not saying I'm going to say I might. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyhow,
I told you I wanted you on if they lose, but if they win, you might be able to gloat.
For Mike Caratanudo, your man Eric Wilson, much love to everybody. Everybody stay blessed, and we will talk to y'all soon. Peace.